Matt Kettleson with the Linder Farm Network, and with me here I have Diane Smith. And Diane, you've been very active in rural broadband issues in the past, and you've written quite a few articles on the thing. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've written a book called thenewrural.com where I take the position that there's never been a better time to live and work in rural America because technology's been a game changer here. And I live in northwest Montana, where I started a big technology company that grew very fast and very large in a short time period in one of the most unlikely of places. And people asked me as a technology entrepreneur, how did we manage to build a big tech company in northwest Montana? And my answer was, well, because of technology, it wasn't very different from building it in a lot of other places, in more urban places across America. And so part of why I wrote the book was because I wanted to tell that story.
And so what were some of the keys that allowed you to build that business in a rural area?
Well, it's an IPTV business called Avail TVN. And even today, that company creates some of the most cutting-edge video compression and distribution technologies in the world, which I'm proud to say. But the things that helped us were, first of all, we had folks with great ideas. We had a great technologist, sort of genius rock star who had a great idea for this company and put together a team of people who were able to reach out literally worldwide because we had access to the infrastructure that allowed us to bring ideas in, but also to disseminate our ideas. So we built a business plan. But this is where the rural piece comes in, and I think it's so interesting. We built a business plan by talking to potential Montana customers. And then our first investors were Montana customers. So we had this ultimately global outcome, but it started in this very local rural place.
Excellent. And so, what in terms of the advanced technology in rural communities, other businesses are able to take advantage of those things as well, and it can really help with economic development. Are you starting to see that in more rural areas?
We are. We're starting to see a lot more people. As you know, the internet shrinks the world for you. And when we add mobile internet on top of that, literally your office can be in your car or in your garage or in your coffee shop. Our first office, which I even joke with the owner of the coffee shop, we didn't have a building until after we'd raised over $1 million. We worked out of a coffee shop with Wi-Fi. And I now joke with the owner of that coffee shop that I really owe her some back rent.
Oh, that's great. Well, we're here in rural Minnesota, which is probably, somewhat similar to rural Montana, different crops, different livestock being raised, but, we all have the similar, challenges. Farmers here are becoming more and more business people all the time. What does some of this advancement in technology mean for farmers, especially as they use their, wireless smartphones and things like that to get information on what they need to run their business and farming operations?
The first thing I would say about that is that farmers are entrepreneurs too. And as entrepreneurs, first of all, they are leading the way in jobs creation and innovation across our country. And they're to be commended for that. So beyond just feeding us, which is obviously really important, they're doing all this great work in the entrepreneurial section and incorporating innovation into their businesses, which I think is fabulous. There's a magazine called Crop Life, and they publish the 10 best mobile agriculture apps. And those applications for smartphones and iPhones and tablets do everything from pest control capabilities to field spray management to weather checks and weather down, but also all the commodities trading and giving people real-time access to pricing and commodities and futures. So, my sense of, especially in the agriculture world, is that a lot of the folks have these small little mini Wall Street actions going on in their tractors. And they're using these mobile applications to be able to stay connected literally all day long.
Wow, we are doing a Ag Technology Expo and Summit here coming up on in mid-September, and one of the focuses is going to be on the rapidly changing technology when it comes to wireless broadband, because just in the last even 2 years, we've seen a lot of technological advances, haven't we?
We have, and I think it's so exciting because before, distance was a big obstacle. And every day, our access to the infrastructure that powers the internet and powers mobile applications shrinks that distance obstacle.
Can you tell us, Diane, about the what's called the spectrum crunch? You've seen cell phone companies recently drop the unlimited data, things like that. You've heard about companies scaling back your data if you use too much. Is that have an effect on the spectrum crunch? Are those two things related?
It does. So, a smartphone transmits about 35 times more traffic than a basic mobile phone, and a tablet like an iPad sends about 121 times more traffic. So, and spectrum is the resource that all of that traffic rides over. So if we think about it like a highway, and we have, X amount of lanes in the highway, and all of a sudden we take that number up by 121 times more cars, traffic slows down. And that's what the spectrum crunch refers to. And what we need to do, the federal government governs the access to spectrum, and we need to get the federal government to release more spectrum, because we didn't know a decade ago that we were going to have as robust a mobile network as we've turned out to have. But even when we were starting our technology company, the only thing I was doing on my cell phone back then was talking on it. Today I'm downloading maps and weather and Facebook, and every so often I watch a small video on Facebook or something like that. All of that adds traffic to those highways. And that's what we have to do is basically enlarge our highways for the amount of traffic that we're sending over it.
Well, the obvious question would be, are they going to be expanded? I don't think there's any doubt that over the next even the short-term period of a year and 2 years that the use of spectrum is going to increase, and over the next 5 years, you could probably say it's going to dramatically increase. So are we going to run into more and more of this spectrum crunch, or will more, of the spectrum be available as folks are using more and more of the spectrum?
We hope so, and there are a lot of folks working at the federal level to try and make that happen. I think one of the things that's important, even about conversations like this, is the more that people know that spectrum is a finite resource, and getting more of it into the hands of providers is a good idea, then the more that we can have smart conversations about how to proceed. And I think, talking about this so that our community leaders and our thought leaders know that spectrum's a really important thing to keep our businesses going, to keep our economic development growing, to connect rural America to the entrepreneurial opportunities, whether they're in agriculture or technology or healthcare or education, to keep those available to us out here in remote locations. I just think it's a really important thing for everybody to do.
Excellent. Diane Smith is the author of thenewrural.com. We invite you to check that out. Diane, it's been great talking to you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, Diane.
Okay, bye-bye. Thanks.